the Berliner Dom, the Berlin Cathedral. In my opinion, it's one of the most beautiful churches in the city. Also one of the youngest as well. Completed in 1905. It was done by Wilhelm II. Wilhelm II was the Prussian king who abdicated after the end of the First World War, ending the Prussian line. Now, Wilhelm II, he'd spent a lot of time in England. In fact, his grandmother was Queen Victoria of England. Again, European royal family, very incestuous. You know, everyone is cousins of everyone. You know, it's kind of dirty. But Wilhelm II, he'd spent a lot of time in London. In fact, he wanted something that would rival St. Paul's Cathedral in London. Are you guys going to London on your trip? No. Have you been to London?
What's London?
St. Paul's is the big Protestant cathedral in London. So he wanted something that would rival St. Paul's, something that would put Berlin on the map as the capital city of Protestantism.
Hey everyone, it's Patrick from Oakland Travel, and welcome to episode 61 of the vlog from our trip to Germany and the Czech Republic in the fall of 2018. We are in the middle of our segway tour, and what you heard there at the beginning was kind of the last part of the Museum Island piece of it. And now we're obviously moving on to our next setup here, which is in Bebelplatz.
Great. He was an enlightened man, a cultured man, artistic man. He enjoyed his arts and philosophy. In fact, he was responsible for building this here. This is the Stadtoper, completed in 1742. It was quite revolutionary for the time, because it was one of the only opera houses in Europe that was built separate to a palace, meaning that the lower classes could go there, enjoy some arts, maybe catch a glimpse of the king, maybe sit next to a rich lady, you know, try their luck. All, of course, if they could afford a ticket. Now, this was very much part of Friedrich II's idea of inclusivity. You know, he wanted to, social mobility and things like this. But he knew that was the key to a strong empire. Now, Friedrich II, he also inherited a large army from his father. Most commentators in Europe at the time thought he was just going to dismount this army, put the money into arts like he'd done before. But in fact, he used this army to great effect, and he conquered a place called Silesia. Now, Silesia is kind of in modern-day Poland. The thing about the Silesians is they were all Catholic. The Prussians, all Protestant. Now, normally, that would cause issues. But Friedrich II, kind of a cool guy, he passes lots of religious freedom laws, and he builds them their very own Catholic cathedral, St. Hedwig's Cathedral here, based on the Pantheon in Rome, in case you've been there. Now, as well, Friedrich II, he built this beautiful palace on the end here for his younger brother. What a bachelor pile, ladies and gentlemen. In 1810, though, it passed hands into Humboldt University, very prestigious university up there with Oxford, Cambridge, the Sorbonne in France. You know, it's actually produced 29 Nobel laureates, which is quite a brag for any institution. The brothers Grimm studied there. You know, you have the storytellers. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels studied there. Albert Einstein taught there as well. I myself have been there. There's a beer garden in the back. I would definitely recommend it on a sunny day. You too can say you've been there. Now, lastly, I just want to point out this beautiful building behind you here. This building, it was built as the Royal Library. Nowadays, it's home to the Juristische Fakultät, the law faculty for Humboldt University. Yeah, law, yeah. Now, one thing I want you to be aware of as we go throughout the streets, as we go throughout these squares today, is that Berlin is home to many different layers of history. This square in particular is home to a much darker story. On May 10th, 1933, the Nazi student organization came here under the orders of Joseph Goebbels, the propaganda minister for the Nazi party. They came here to this library and they took out 20,000 books. 20,000 books, they pulled in the middle of the square, poured with gasoline and set alight. In the middle of the square here, in one of the largest book burnings. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right, guys. The book burning here was atrocious. And now the books that they took were books that they considered to be anti-German. These are books written by Jewish authors, communist authors, homosexual authors, disabled authors. You know the blind author Helen Keller?
Yes.
Or pacifist authors, Ernest Hemingway, famous pacifist, had his books burnt in the square. Now the reason they did this is twofold. First of all, it's ideological. It's easier to rule a population when this population cannot educate itself in the thoughts that go against the Nazi regime. Second of all is theatrics, performative. You know, I think there's a lot to be said for a bonfire, uniforms, chanting, flags. You have to bring books from home as well, so there's a certain amount of